Hello, hello, hello. On time here on Wednesday night. But we'll still give everybody a few minutes to get here because I'm usually a few minutes late. Frank, I don't know that anyone has ever beat you as far as becoming the first person logged in. Always great to see all of you. Welcome to all of you. Hope you're having a great day. I don't know whether she actually watches these videos or not, but today happens to be my mom's birthday. So if you are watching, happy birthday, Mom, and I love you. Sadly, if I'm going to be honest, I don't call my mom nearly enough. So all of you moms out there can feel free to take me to task at any time because that is one of my failures. Good evening to all of you. And yes, I just put that out here on the video, recorded, so my mom can hold it against me for as long as she wants. Hello, hello, hello. I understand that the Northeast is getting a lot more snow. So good luck tomorrow at the Eagles parade. Hey, wow, this is my first video since then. Yeah, I guess I witnessed a miracle on Sunday. For those of you that know me, I grew up in South Jersey, went to college in Philadelphia, and have been a lifelong Philadelphia Eagles fan. And even though I've grown very frustrated with both the NFL, the NBA, and all major sports, I can't lie to you. I absolutely felt it yesterday or on Sunday watching the Eagles win their very first championship. So for those of you there, enjoy the parade tomorrow. Stay warm. I think you're getting more snow. We'll wait just one more minute and then we'll go ahead and get started. As I put in the post earlier, tonight we're going to talk about some of the answers and the solutions to the challenges and issues that we've been discussing the past couple of weeks. So I'll recap for everybody. We've spent an awful lot of time talking about the importance of being able to feel complete ourselves, to focus on self-love and self-care, to fill that void, because we all have that void inside with ourselves instead of seeking to find the answer to fill that void elsewhere in someone else, because it doesn't exist in anyone else. That's part of why we run around, crazy, seeking the approval of so many other people, and we worry about the judgment of other people, and we worry about being ridiculed. And the bottom line is the opinion of anyone else should have no effect on you. But it's only once we start to look within and we start to identify that self-love and fill that void ourselves, learn to be comfortable and still alone and not feel lonely, that's when the magic happens. And the reason why I've spent so much time talking about that is, number one, it's very confusing. It's not something that's easy to understand. It's not taught well. And even from the people that teach it, I don't know that they really fully understand it, because as I mentioned last week, there were so many people that took the terms self-love and reclaiming your power to just ridiculous lengths because of the people that had been advising them. And the bottom line, It's not healthy. You don't want to convert someone from, I'll just say, being a victim into a victimizer. There's a happy middle ground that we want to focus on, and that wasn't being conveyed. I also want to thank the women that I have been able to tag on last week's post, which I will tag on tonight's, for being so willing to come on and share. And I won't name them all because I'll end up forgetting somebody, but you'll notice they'll all be tagged in this video like they were last week. And I want to be clear, the reason I reached out and asked them for permission to tag them, and I asked them to feel fully authorized to comment in any way that they felt, they have shown me over a period of time, some for as many as 2 and 3 years now, who they are. And the reason why it's so important that I wanted to identify them is they're not selling their services. They're not trying to be hired as life coaches. They're not out there angry. They all have come from a different place where they've been hurt. They've been broken. They've gone through their own process, but they've shown me repeatedly and consistently that they choose to come from a place of love, not from a place of fear. And they've chosen to identify healthy self-love and self-care and reclaiming their own power so that they're not being oppressed or hurt by anyone else, but they're doing it in a way that they do no harm to anyone else. And it's so critical to your health, is to be able to stand on your own, to create healthy boundaries, and to reclaim your power, and to focus on self-care and self-love without, I'll say it again, without harming others, without taking from others, without blaming others. And that's what these women have showed me. And I'm just so grateful that they're willing to be a part of this. I may, if they're willing, I may have some of them join me on Facebook Lives on the video. But even if they're just willing to comment here and there, I strongly encourage you to reach out to them, to friend them, and to follow them, because they have helped me just in watching their posts and reading their messages and following their consistent messages. So I wanted to give a shout out before we got started and just say thank you to all those beautiful women who are willing to show that strength can be very loving and caring. It does not have to be selfish. It does not have to be egotistical, and it does not have to harm others. There's great courage and strength in being able to stand and come from a place of love. Now, why is all that so important? Because if you're looking to heal, regardless, and I'm going to be very clear about this, regardless of what anyone has done to you, regardless of what you feel, if you can make peace with a couple of things, the healing process is a snap. The first thing that you have to do is, if you remember the term, surrender. Accept what has happened without assigning blame. Surrender is accepting what has happened without assigning blame. That is important. But you can't do that. It's impossible for you to do that until you are in a healthy place filled with that self-love and that self-care, before you can surrender and accept what's happened without blaming others. And I promise you, that was a process for me. It was a very, very frustrating process for me, because the person that was helping me, I've referenced Larry Clapp many times, when I would reach out to Larry and I would ask him, for the guidance, I would begin to tell him what happened. He'd say, I don't care. I don't care what she did. And I'd say, why are you taking her side? He said, I'm not taking her side, but what she did means nothing. How you react to it, how it affects you, is all I'm concerned with. And it was a very frustrating process for me, because as some of you know, I went through a pretty rough time with a really challenging relationship with someone who was an alcoholic, someone who was addicted, and all they did was attack and blame. And so that's what I was reacting to and responding to. So I'm not trying to come from this naive place and say, oh, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for me. It took a couple of years to get to the surrender and accept without blame. But that was, Larry being very consistent, and it's why I'm saying to you, that is the first step. Be able to surrender and to accept without assigning blame. Another really important tool is gratitude, because every one of our emotions and all of our actions come from either a place of love or a place of fear. And it snowballs from there. So I will simply say this. One of the simplest, most effective tools is to remain grateful. Because if you're not grateful, it's very easy to become entitled. And if you have a mindset of entitlement, oh Lord, you'll never be satisfied. Nothing will ever be good enough for you. Again, that former relationship, that's what I was dealing with. Someone who felt entitled, that I could never, ever do enough, give enough, be enough to satisfy, because she was coming from a place of entitlement. That was my trigger. That's what I reacted to. So I couldn't come from a place of gratitude when I was not healthy enough to surrender and simply accept what happened without blame. So, 2 tools: surrender, accept without blame, and stay in a state of gratitude. Be grateful for everything. And it's simple. The easiest example of that is when you look at the glass of water. That's a half full or a half empty glass of water, depending on how you look at it. Now, if you're entitled, someone took half of your water. What good is that? I offer you that glass of water, and your entitlement says, why didn't you fill it up? Where's the rest of the water? And that is how a self-centered, selfish, entitled person views life. If instead you're filled with gratitude and you're grateful, you're going to say, wow, thank you, I was thirsty, and that absolutely hit the spot. And you know what? I took a sip and there's still more water. So if I choose to be grateful and be filled with gratitude, I'm not looking at the other half. Maybe that's all the water you had. I don't know. Maybe you were dying of thirst and you drank half of it. But the point is, if you can remain grateful and in a state of gratitude, it's very easy to see the positives and the healthy, good things in life versus constantly focusing on the negative and being negative. Now, as we talk about these things, gratitude versus entitlement is huge. Self-love and self-care versus being selfish is huge. Being able to reclaim your power and stand in a strong, confident place without harming or taking away from anyone else is huge. But let's talk about some of the tools that I was taught that have helped me to get through this, because I've alluded to these many times, but I've not yet dedicated a video for this specific topic. So if we're going to say, all right, I want to be healthy, I want to get past my junk, I want to get past my garbage, I want to get past the blaming and all of the negatives, and just say, okay, how do I be as healthy as possible? The first, obviously, is being able to fill that void, be still in your peace. Like I said last week with when one door closes, the other one opens, it's that window of time in between the two. When that one door closes, until that next door opens, you have to remain still. You have to be at peace, which means you're not looking at your clock. You're not filling the void with noise. You're remaining at peace and still. If you want to pray, pray. If you want to meditate, meditate. But for heaven's sake, remain in a patient, calm state. Be still. And when you're ready, whoosh, that next door will open and you'll walk through it. But that's the trick. Now, how do you do that? Well, I know we've talked about this, but I'm going to do a little bit of a deeper dive. If you, right now, have any type of resistance to what I'm saying, I understand. I resisted it for a long time. I resisted it. I ridiculed it. I was probably one of the worst human beings when it came to people trying to teach this to me. However, they were correct. And it's positive self-affirmations. You know, I think every one of you will buy into the concept that we create things in our mind, which are our thoughts, which we then speak as our words, and whatever we think and speak truly becomes our reality. It controls and it guides our activities, it guides our actions, it creates our habits. So we really do create our reality in our mind with our thoughts, and then we speak them. And whatever we think and speak magically begins to materialize. Now, some people will refer to that as the law of attraction, and we've done videos on that. So I'm not going to go deep into the law of attraction. I'm just simply going to say that there is great power in our thoughts, in our mind, and in the words that we speak. So I will simply say this. I did not on any level believe or buy into self-affirmations. I thought it was a bunch of garbage. I thought it was a bunch of new wave, woohoo, mystical crap, and I made fun of it, so I didn't do it. And I didn't do it until I finally got the explanation that made sense. And here's what I mean by that. I would attempt it, and I had my own self-imposed time frame of how long it should take before I should start seeing results. I don't know if any of you have ever done that, but I certainly didn't have the right to decide how long it would take because I had no idea how damaged I was or how long I had been damaged. So here's the reality of it. If you're like me, I get it, and I'm going to show you a way around it. But I used to do, 15 minutes worth of affirmations and say, I did them. I did 15 minutes a day. And okay, nothing happened. So then I was encouraged to do it more than once a day. And it was weird because it got to the point where, 3, 4 times in one day for 10, 15 minutes, I would do the self-affirmations. And I was intent with it. And I was like, you know what? I gave it my best effort. That stuff doesn't work. It's garbage. And the reality was I got basically the mental punch right in the face when I got done explaining how much effort I put in, 3 and 4 times a day for 10 and 15 minutes at a time, focused 100% on the self-affirmations. And the response was so simple. The person said to me, that's wonderful. That's incredible. What do you do the other 17 or 18 hours that you're awake? And I was just like, oh my gosh, you're right. I'm focused on the positive for tiny little windows. And the rest of the time, I allowed a lot of that negative stuff to creep back in or affect me. So the reality is you have to stay focused on it throughout the day, every day, until, I'm going to say that again. You have to be focused on it at multiple times throughout the day, every single day, until. And the until is you begin to feel it. And where I was making my mistake was after a couple of days, and I think maybe one time I went a couple of weeks, and I didn't feel any different. That's when I decided this is a bunch of crap. I'm not going to do it. Now, here was the answer that made sense to me. And I really want to share this with you because I'm hoping this will open up the can of worms and help those of you that might be struggling with it. I was given an example that used a bank account. So I want you all to think about this for a second. Let's assume that you have a checking account and you're negative $500 in that checking account. And every single week that you're negative, the bank is going to tack on another $10. So you're frustrated. You are already in the whole $500. And every week they're going to nail you for another $10. Now, I did a video on this a while back, but I'm going to do it again because I think it's important for everybody to understand. So you reach out to me and you're begging me. You're like, I need the money. I'm in over my head and I'm stuck. And I look at you and I say, listen, I don't have the $500 to give you, but here's what I can do. I'm working, I'm making money. I can give you $50 a week until you're out of the hole. Now, I want you to answer this. You're in the hole $500. You're going to get a $10 fee every week until you're out of that negative. And all I can afford you is $50 a week. So, A, would you say thank you and take it, or would you be closed-minded and stubborn and say no? Hopefully, you're bright enough to say, all right, it's not going to get me out of the hole, but it's going to get me closer. So we'll assume that you're bright enough to say yes, thank you, and you're appreciative and you're grateful. So I give you $50, you make the deposit, now you're negative $450. The next week, they nail you for $10, so you're negative $460. The following week, I give you $50, now you're only negative $410. End of the week, they nail you with another $10, you're negative $420. I give you another $50, you're negative $370. They nail you for the $10, you're negative $380. I give you another $50, you're negative $330. They nail you for the $10, and it goes on and on. So here's my point. After 4, 5, 6 weeks, I've given you $50, but every single morning, the bank calls you, you answer the phone, and they say, you're a loser, bring us our money, or we're going to charge you another $10 at the end of the week. If you got that phone call every morning from your bank, and for whatever reason you answered it, would it feel any different to you 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of me offering you $50, you depositing the $50, but you're still not, I repeat, you're still not out of the hole? Just yes or no. Would it feel any different every morning when you wake up to that phone call that says, you're a loser, give us our money? Because I'm here to tell you that it wouldn't feel any different to me. It would feel exactly the same every morning. I'm waking up, I'm dealing with the same garbage from the same person, frustrating me, and I can't fix it. But in reality, every single week, I'm getting $40 closer, $40 closer, $40 closer. And the point I'm trying to make is it's going to feel exactly the same. It's going to feel exactly the same every single day that you are negative in that bank account and your bank is calling you and they're charging you that $10 fee, even though we're giving you $50, it's being deposited and you're getting closer. So here's what happens. As long as you keep consistently depositing that $50 every week, guess what's going to happen? You're eventually going to cross the threshold and you'll be at zero. And when you get to zero, they're going to stop calling you and they're going to stop charging you a $10 fee. Here's the problem. If you cannot see your bank account, if you cannot see the summary, you don't know how close you are. And day after day, you remain in that same hypersensitive state of both depression and anxiety. Well, guess what? It's exactly how affirmations work. If you could look at it that every single day you choose to look in the mirror. And by the way, you don't do these with your eyes closed in the dark. You do these in the bathroom with the light on, staring in the mirror, looking at yourself eye to eye. And even if, hear me carefully, even if you don't feel it, you do it. Because we've already agreed, your thoughts and your words become your reality. If you commit every day, multiple times during the day, 3, 4, 5, 6 different times during the day, even if it's just for 5 minutes, to follow through and to be consistent with those self-affirmations, remaining in a state of gratitude. You don't have to tell me what you're grateful for, But if you can't find something to be grateful for, you're damaged and entitled in your mindset. If you cannot find anything to be grateful for, that is a problem. And I'll just give you a little hint. Guess what my day starts with? I'm grateful. I thank God for waking me up. Thank you for waking me up today. Thank you for giving me today. See, that's being grateful. Entitled people take it for granted because they just assume they've got another day tomorrow. Tomorrow is not promised to anyone. So that's how real I'm trying to be with you right now. If you can't find something to be grateful for, that is damaged thinking. That is very selfish, entitled thinking. Because if you woke up, you got something to be thankful for. If you can hear my voice, guess what? You have hearing. You got something to be thankful for. If you can see me, not that I'm the prettiest thing in the world to look at, but if you can see me, you have sight. That's something to be thankful for. If you can process what I'm saying, you got a brain that functions. That's something to be thankful for. When we're done, if you're going to get up and walk across the room and do anything, you're not paralyzed. That's something to be thankful for. Am I making my point clear? That's how real it is. That's how real it is for me. Don't wait until things are taken away from you to realize how important they are. Don't wait until stuff is taken away from you to recognize how good you had it, how fortunate and blessed you were. And then it's too late to be grateful. Be grateful while you have it. I'm not being condescending. I'm not being critical. I was ignorant for a long time instead of grateful. I took a lot of stuff for granted instead of being grateful. I had to be stripped away of everything, financial, physical, everything, before I woke up and realized, wow, I really should be grateful. That's how real it is. But when you make that switch and you actually become grateful instead of feeling entitled and self-centered, it's amazing how different the world looks. All of a sudden, hey, I'm thirsty. I'm so glad I have a half a glass here. That half a glass of water did the trick. I'm not trying to fill up a swimming pool. I'm just trying to quench my thirst. That's the difference. That's how important it is. So if you're truly attempting to make those improvements, it's not that hard. It's really not. But it truly does require your consistent effort. And as I said, it didn't happen overnight for me. I was doing the daily affirmations and I still was frustrated because I didn't feel anything different. But here's the difference. I remembered the story about the checking account. I remembered the story about making the deposit and getting closer to zero. Getting closer to zero, even though I wasn't. And what I was experiencing and what you might be experiencing is, you know you're $500 in the hole. You know you've been making deposits. You're not sure. Are you minus $120? Are you minus $250? Are you minus $30? It's all still the same feeling. However, that progress is what we hold on to. And if we focus on that one step forward every day, you'll eventually get there. And that is the best advice I can share based on my own personal experiences. But I really mean that. If you can make peace with the fact by surrendering and accepting without blame that you are exactly where you're supposed to be, that there's nothing wrong with you. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. In fact, I just had this conversation today. This may or may not land, but I'm going to say it anyway. For the majority of us, myself included, for most of our lives, we didn't really have any thoughts of our own. I'm going to say that again. We really didn't have any thoughts of our own. almost everything that we thought was given to us by somebody else. Parents, teachers, friends, society, TV, whatever. Politics, religion. We have been programmed by everything, and then we process that programming, and then we try to find our place in this world. And so many people, myself included, are so harsh. We criticize and judge ourselves so harshly because we think we're supposed to be comparing to other people. And here's the reality. Most of those people are fake. Most of those people are faking it. But we see the mask, we see what they want us to see, and then we feel somehow that we're not good enough because we know the truth. Meanwhile, they're just faking it. Which is why I beg and plead with each and every one of you, do not, on any level, give any energy to the opinions of others. There's one person that matters. The person that you see when you look in the mirror. That is the person that you have to feel comfortable with. That is the person whose approval you should seek. I'm going to say that again. That is the person's whose approval you should seek. If you can do that, if you can accept who you are right now as good enough, accept who you are right now as perfect, based upon everything that you've gone through, and then with a gentle and a loving and a caring heart, improve. Not with a judgmental, not with a critical, not in a harsh way, but through the self-care, improve in the areas that you want. That is how you can accomplish. Now, I will simply say this. You choose whatever affirmations you wish to give. I'm not going to give you mine. I contemplated giving you mine, but I don't want anyone to feel like you have to copy what I do. I simply say this, 16, 1, 6. 16 is the number. 4 groups of 4. You go to the mirror and you recite them. They can be anything that you want, but the bottom line is, who are you and who do you really want to be? That's what the affirmations are. That's what you're doing. You're talking to yourself. You are speaking directly to you, to the only person who matters, to the only opinion that matters. And you do it looking in your eyes with a smile on your face and with as much enthusiasm as you can throughout the day. I would highly recommend 3, 4, 5 to 10 minute windows. Actually make yourself a break. Schedule it into your day and appreciate and accept the fact that it may not feel different right away. That is the best advice I can give you based upon my experience. Again, as I said at the very beginning of the video, I'm going to go ahead and tag those same women that I had tagged on last week's video. And again, I'm thanking them in advance for any comments that they share. And I thank them again for just being such amazing, incredible examples and role models of a woman who is strong, okay, who has gone through the process, who has gone through their journeys, who has healed, but still comes from a place of love. And so they don't present weakness, but they don't present aggressiveness. And that's the difference that you'll see. You'll either see out there victim mentality, which is people, both men and women, that just complain, woe is me, this is what happens to me, feel bad for me, or aggression, which is just as unhealthy. So when you can find somebody who's courageous enough to be vulnerable and be transparent and come from a place of love consistently in their posts over 6, 12, and 24 months or more, you have my respect, you have my gratitude, and I'm so grateful for you to be a part of what we're doing here. So until next Wednesday, I simply want to say thank you for joining us. Be blessed. And if anybody would like any assistance with figuring out your personal affirmations, I'm happy to do that. I just don't feel it's my right to do it publicly here because I don't want anybody to feel influenced that that's what you should choose as well. Find what you want for you and then speak that truth to yourself in the mirror. Till next Wednesday, be blessed and good night.